In the sacred lands of the ancient kingdom of Gandhara, where mountains touched the clouds and valleys were blessed by crystal-clear rivers, there lived a just king named Dharmakirti and his wife, Queen Prajnadevi. For many years, the royal couple ruled with wisdom and compassion, but in their hearts, there was a deep longing for a child who could not only inherit the throne, but also bring a new light of understanding to the world. One full moon night, during the month of Vesak, Queen Prajnadevi had an extraordinary dream. In her vision, a celestial being descended from the heavens, riding a golden lion, carrying a sword of light in one hand and a sacred book in the other. The being approached her and, with a compassionate smile, dissolved into a ray of light that entered her heart. Upon awakening, the queen was radiant, and everyone in the palace noticed a soft golden aura emanating from her. The following months were marked by auspicious events. Harvests were abundant, illnesses spontaneously disappeared from the kingdom, and a deep peace seemed to envelop the entire region. The sages of the realm interpreted these signs as heralds of the birth of an extraordinary being. On the morning of the birth, an unprecedented phenomenon occurred. 1,000 golden lotus flowers blossomed simultaneously in the palace gardens, each emitting a celestial fragrance that spread throughout the kingdom. At the exact moment the child was born, a soft golden light emanated from the palace, gradually expanding to cover the entire kingdom of Gandhara. Birds began to sing melodies never heard before, and it is said that even wild animals from nearby forests approached the palace in a peaceful display of reverence. The baby was born with a special mark on his forehead, resembling a third eye, symbolizing the vision of transcendental wisdom. His first sounds were not cries, but a gentle murmur that resembled sacred mantras. The court astrologers, upon seeing these signs, proclaimed that this child was a manifestation of the Buddha of wisdom himself and suggested he be named Mañjushri, meaning gentle glory. As Mañjushri grew, his extraordinary qualities became increasingly evident. While other children his age were learning to speak, he was already asking profound questions about the nature of existence. At the age of 3, during a ceremony at the royal temple, he astonished everyone by spontaneously explaining the meaning of ancient scriptures that even the most learned monks did not fully comprehend. The masters brought to the palace to educate him often found themselves in the position of students, amazed by the young prince's depth of understanding. Mañjushri had a special gift for asking questions that revealed the true nature of things. Once, during a lesson on the elements of nature, he asked his teacher, "If the river's water is always flowing, how can we say it's the same river? And if it isn't the same river, why do we give it the same name?" Questions like these left even the wisest in deep contemplation. Unlike other royal children, Mañjushri had no interest in games of power or material wealth. He spent long hours in the palace gardens, observing the movement of leaves in the wind, the dance of butterflies, and the flow of water in the streams. In each natural phenomenon, he perceived profound truths about the interdependence of all beings and the illusory nature of separate existence. At night, it was common to find him sitting under the stars, completely absorbed in meditation. Palace guards reported that during these occasions, a gentle golden light would emanate from his body, and small luminous beings, resembling fireflies, would dance around him. Some said they were celestial divas, drawn by the pure wisdom radiating from the young prince. As his fame spread, people from all parts of the kingdom and even from distant realms came seeking his guidance. Even as a child, Mañjushri had the gift of answering each question precisely and compassionately, adapting his wisdom to the level of understanding of each person who sought him. For children, he used simple stories and playful examples that revealed deep truths. For scholars, he employed sophisticated philosophical arguments. For spiritual practitioners, he offered direct instructions on the nature of the mind. On the night of his 16th birthday, while the entire kingdom celebrated with grand festivities, Mañjushri withdrew to his quarters for his usual nightly meditation. The air was especially thick with the scent of incense and flowers, and the full moon bathed the palace gardens in its silvery light. It was on this night that he had an experience that would change not only his life, but the destiny of countless beings. In his deep meditative state, Mañjushri began to have extraordinary visions. First, he saw himself floating above the palace, then above the kingdom, and finally his consciousness expanded to encompass all realms of existence. What he witnessed touched him deeply. He saw beings of all shapes and sizes trapped in endless cycles of suffering, not by choice, but by ignorance of their true nature. He saw powerful kings tormented by the fear of losing their kingdoms, beggars consumed by envy and resentment, wise scholars ensnared in their own intellectual constructs, and devout religious practitioners attached to empty rituals. In every realm of existence, from the highest celestial planes to the deepest infernal realms, he witnessed how fundamental ignorance about the nature of reality caused endless suffering. In one particularly moving moment of the vision, he saw a mother grieving the loss of her child, clinging to the lifeless body, unable to accept the impermanence of existence. In another, he saw a respected sage who, despite his extensive knowledge of the scriptures, remained bound by concepts and theories, never truly experiencing the truth he sought to convey. Then something extraordinary happened. From his heart, a golden light began to emanate, expanding in all directions. As the light touched the beings in his vision, their minds started to awaken to a deeper understanding. It was as if veils of illusion were gently lifted from their eyes, allowing them to see reality as it truly is. At that moment, two sacred objects manifested in his hands. In his right hand, a flaming sword radiating light in all directions, and in his left, an ancient book that seemed to contain all the wisdom of the universe. A deep, compassionate voice resonated within his consciousness, explaining that the sword represented the wisdom that cuts through all illusions and misconceptions, while the book symbolized the transcendental knowledge needed to guide beings to enlightenment. Upon awakening from this profound vision, Mañjushri remained silent for a long time, absorbing the meaning of everything he had experienced. He understood that his destiny was not to rule a worldly kingdom, but to help all beings awaken from the ignorance that kept them bound in the cycle of suffering. The following morning, to everyone's surprise in the palace, Mañjushri appeared transformed. His eyes shone with a new light of understanding, and his presence radiated a wisdom and compassion even deeper than before. When he addressed the king and queen, his parents, his voice was gentle yet firm. "My beloved parents, I thank you for all the love and care you have given me, but I now understand that my path is different from what we imagined. I must embark on a journey to share the light of wisdom with all beings." King Dharmakirti, though initially reluctant to see his only son and heir depart, recognized in his eyes a determination and wisdom that transcended worldly concerns. Queen Prajnadevi, recalling her dream before Mañjushri's birth, understood that this moment had been predestined. Before leaving, Mañjushri gathered the court and all the palace residents. In a memorable speech, he shared his vision from the previous night and taught about the nature of true wisdom. He explained that intellectual knowledge alone was like an abandoned raft in the middle of a river, useful to a certain extent, but unable to complete the crossing. True wisdom, he taught, was like the river's own water, flowing naturally, adapting to all situations, yet retaining its essential nature. Dressed in simple monk's robes, carrying only his flaming sword and the sacred book, Mañjushri left the palace at dawn. It is said that as he walked, lotus flowers bloomed beneath his feet, and a gentle rain of golden petals fell from the sky, blessing the beginning of his sacred journey. After leaving the palace, Mañjushri traveled for many moons, crossing deep valleys and snowy mountains. His path led him to a mysterious region known as the Valley of Dragons, where it was said a turquoise-blue lake lay, so deep that no one had ever reached its bottom. Locals whispered tales of a powerful dragon king who dwelled within its depths, guarding ancient wisdom that predated even the time of the earliest Buddhas. Many seekers had tried to gain the wisdom of the Dragon King before. Some brought lavish offerings, others recited powerful mantras, and still others tried to demonstrate their bravery through extraordinary feats. All, without exception, had failed. The Dragon King remained in the depths, indifferent to all attempts to draw his attention. When Mañjushri arrived at the lakeshore, he made no offerings, recited no mantras, nor tried to prove his worth. Instead, he calmly sat at the water's edge and entered a deep meditation. His presence was so serene that the wild animals of the forest approached without fear. Birds landed on his shoulders, and even the fish in the lake swam to the shore to be near him. A day passed, then a week, and Mañjushri remained still in his meditation. The lake's waters, usually stirred by constant winds, gradually became calm, eventually turning into a perfect mirror reflecting the sky above. On the seventh day, something extraordinary began to happen. Bubbles rose in the lake's center, and an emerald light emerged from its depths. From the waters, a majestic figure appeared, the Dragon King, his scales gleaming like polished jade and his eyes containing the wisdom of ages. His form was so vast that his tail remained in the lake's depths while his head rose above the clouds. Yet, upon seeing Mañjushri, the great dragon shrank to the size of a horse and approached the shore. "What do you seek?" asked the Dragon King, his voice echoing like distant thunder. Mañjushri opened his eyes slowly and replied with a smile, "I seek nothing, for true wisdom is present everywhere. I have come only to share this understanding with you." The Dragon King, who had seen countless seekers arrive with their demands and desires, was moved by the profound simplicity and truth in Mañjushri's words. For the first time in millennia, he bowed his head in reverence. "In all these years guarding the treasures of ancient wisdom," said the dragon, "I have never met anyone who already understood its true nature. Everyone came seeking something outside themselves, not realizing what they sought was already within their own hearts." In the days that followed, Mañjushri and the Dragon King engaged in deep conversations about the nature of reality. The dragon shared knowledge preserved since the beginning of time, and Mañjushri offered insights that illuminated even these ancient truths with a new light of understanding. One night, as they spoke beneath the starlight, the Dragon King revealed something surprising. "In the depths of this lake, I guard a sacred scroll containing teachings that no human eyes have ever seen. For ages, I have waited for someone worthy to receive it. Now I see that you are that being." Diving into the lake's depths, the dragon returned with a scroll that emanated its own light. Handing it to Mañjushri, he said, "This is not mere knowledge to be studied, but a key to awakening innate wisdom in all beings. Use it with discernment." Mañjushri received the scroll with deep gratitude, yet instead of opening it immediately, he placed it alongside the book he already carried. "True wisdom," he said, "is not found in scrolls or books, but in the direct experience of reality. These are only fingers pointing to the moon, not the moon itself." The Dragon King, deeply moved by this demonstration of wisdom, declared, "For countless ages, I have been considered a master of ancient wisdom, but today I become your disciple. Allow me to accompany you on your journey to benefit all beings." Thus, the mighty Dragon King, who had long been a solitary guardian of ancient knowledge, became Mañjushri's first disciple. Together they departed from the Valley of Dragons, leaving behind the lake which, legend has it, was never found by any other seekers. The partnership between the young prince who had renounced his kingdom and the ancient guardian of wisdom marked the beginning of a new era of enlightenment. At the Nalanda Monastery, the most renowned center of Buddhist studies in ancient India, rumors circulated about a young sage traveling with a dragon. The monastery's great masters, guardians of the deepest knowledge of the Dharma, decided to organize a grand debate on the ultimate nature of reality. Invitations were sent to the most illustrious scholars and practitioners from all traditions. On the appointed day, Nalanda's great debate hall was filled to capacity. 500 arhats, known for their spiritual attainments, took seats on the right. 500 pandits, famed for their vast knowledge of the scriptures, sat on the left. In the center, on elevated thrones, were the 5 greatest masters of Nalanda, each known for having memorized and fully understood a different part of the Buddha's teachings. When Mañjushri arrived, accompanied by the Dragon King in human form, his presence commanded a reverent silence. Despite his youth, there was something in his expression that spoke of a wisdom beyond years. He was offered a simple seat in the center of the hall. The debate began at dawn. The first master of Nalanda rose and delivered an elaborate discourse on the nature of emptiness, quoting numerous sutras and commentaries. His presentation lasted 3 hours, and many nodded in approval of his erudition. The second master countered with a sophisticated analysis of the nature of consciousness, developing arguments so subtle that only the most learned could follow. His speech extended for 4 hours. One after another, the masters presented their views. Some spoke on the nature of mind, others on the dependent origination of all phenomena. Each presentation was more elaborate than the last, with increasingly refined arguments and more obscure citations. As the sun began to set, it was finally Mañjushri's turn. All present adjusted their seats, preparing for what promised to be the debate's pinnacle. To their surprise, Mañjushri remained silent for a few moments, simply observing the assembly with compassionate eyes. Then slowly, he rose and unsheathed his flaming sword. The blade's glow filled the hall with a golden light that seemed to penetrate not just the physical space but the minds of everyone present. With a single, fluid movement, Mañjushri sliced the air before him. In that instant, something extraordinary occurred. All the elaborate mental constructs, all the sophisticated concepts and theories presented throughout the day seemed to dissolve like mist in the morning sun. The hall plunged into a deep and vibrant silence, unlike ordinary quiet. In this silence, those present directly experienced the ultimate nature of reality, beyond words and concepts. Arhats and Pandits, masters and disciples alike, were touched by an understanding that transcended intellectual knowledge. After what seemed an eternity, yet may have only been moments, Mañjushri spoke softly. The true nature of reality lies beyond words and concepts. Like the vastness of the sky, it cannot be captured by nets of thought. Like the taste of water, it cannot be described, only directly experienced. The Dragon King, who had remained silent throughout the debate, then spoke. For countless ages, I guarded the treasures of ancient wisdom in the depths of my lake. But today, with a single stroke of his sword, Mañjushri revealed something more precious than all these treasures, the direct experience of truth. One of the eldest Arhats rose, tears in his eyes, and declared, "In 50 years of study and practice, I accumulated knowledge as one who gathers precious stones. Today, with a single gesture, Mañjushri showed me I had merely been collecting reflections of the moon on water, while the true moon shone in the sky all along." The fame of this event spread rapidly. From every corner of India, and even from distant lands, people began seeking Mañjushri's teachings. But he always insisted that his demonstration in the debate was not to be remembered as an extraordinary performance, but as a reminder that true wisdom lies beyond all demonstrations and performances. In the years that followed, Nalanda's debate hall transformed. Though debates continued, there was now more time spent in contemplative silence, a greater emphasis on direct experience. The monastery itself became known not only as a center of learning, but as a place where living wisdom was cultivated and transmitted. After the memorable debate at Nalanda, Mañjushri's fame spread in all directions like the scent of jasmine on the wind. Pilgrims from distant lands crossed deserts and mountains just to receive his blessings. Many believed that, having reached such a level of realization, he would soon enter complete parinirvana, as many great masters had done before him. On a full moon night, just like the one when he had his first great vision in the palace, Mañjushri gathered all his disciples at the summit of Mount Wutai. This location was not chosen by chance. It was said that this sacred mountain touched both earth and sky, a meeting point between the mundane and the transcendental realms. Thousands had gathered, monks and lay people, the rich and the poor, scholars and simple folk. The Dragon King was present in his true majestic form, his scales glistening in the moonlight. Devas and celestial beings could be seen hovering in the night sky like dancing stars. Mañjushri sat in meditation, and all watched in awe as 5 colored lights began to radiate from his body, each representing one of the transcendent wisdoms. Blue like sapphire, white like mountain snow, golden like the rising sun, red like ruby, and green like pure jade. When he opened his eyes, everyone sensed that something extraordinary was about to happen. His voice, though gentle, could be heard clearly by every being present, each one in their own language. I have looked deeply into the nature of existence, and have seen that every being, without exception, possesses the same Buddha nature that you now recognize in me. The only difference is that this nature remains obscured by veils of ignorance like a precious jewel covered by layers of dust. Raising his flaming sword toward the starry sky, he continued, "I could now dissolve this form and enter complete nirvana, but I see that this would mean abandoning countless beings still trapped in the ocean of samsara. Therefore, in the presence of all of you and all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, I make this solemn vow." At that moment, the earth trembled softly, and it is said that all the Buddhas of the 10 directions turned their attention to that crucial moment. Mañjushri proclaimed his vow in a voice that resonated across all realms of existence. "As long as there remains a single being bound by the chains of ignorance, I will remain in this world. As long as there exists even the slightest doubt clouding the mind of any being, my sword of wisdom will continue to cut through illusion. As long as there is a single heart confused about its true nature, I will continue to manifest forms to guide and teach. May my body multiply by thousands, by millions, by infinite forms, each one bearing the sword of wisdom and the book of knowledge. May each form be perfectly adapted to benefit beings according to their needs and capacities." As these words were spoken, a miraculous phenomenon occurred. Mañjushri's form began to multiply, first in tens, then hundreds, thousands, and countless manifestations. Each form was slightly different, some more severe, others gentler, some teaching through words, others through silence. Yet all carried the same essence of compassionate wisdom. The Dragon King, deeply moved, added his own vow. "And I, who have guarded wisdom in the depths for ages, now vow to protect these teachings. May the waters of all the oceans dry before this vow is broken." One by one, everyone present was touched by the magnitude of that moment and added their own vows to Mañjushri's. Monks swore to preserve and transmit the teachings, lay people promised to practice and share them in their daily lives, and devas committed themselves to protecting those who walk the path of wisdom. Mañjushri's multiple manifestations gradually dissolved into the night. But something had fundamentally changed in the fabric of reality. From that moment on, it is said that Mañjushri can be found wherever someone sincerely seeks wisdom. He sometimes appears as a young prince with a flaming sword, other times as an old sage, a beggar on the street, or even as a moment of sudden clarity in the mind of a sincere seeker. His promise continues to resonate through the ages, and his teachings remain alive not only in texts and statues, but in the living experience of all who seek to understand the true nature of reality. In every moment of genuine insight, in every awakening of innate wisdom, Mañjushri fulfills his vow, cutting through ignorance with his flaming sword and illuminating the path with the light of true understanding.